Hi everybody, hope you're well. I'm going to show you a walkthrough of a new template that we've been working on for a digital employee that can be tasked with writing newsletters for your organization. This is all in n8n, it's all low code. And what we have here is the template for it, and as you can see it pulls in 4 different sources of data that it then uses to build the newsletter. And this is a multi-agent system, so we have 6 different agents acting in here. So we can pull in data from Reddit, Hacker News, Product Hunt, and Archive. And the interesting thing about this is that I've put these all into RSS formats. There's other tools where you can also pull in data from Twitter or X or any RSS feed as well. This will kind of be compatible with. So just to show you the output, there is a HTML newsletter where we've given it a bit of styling. As you can see, it's sort of put some of the different elements in. So it's not just a straight text block. It's relatively basic in the design. You could put some images in and that kind of thing. But it's given that you can generate it all entirely automatically, I think it's pretty good. So what we're going to do is going to walk you through this, how the flows will work. The template himself has been posted with the Google Drive link, so you can pull this down and have a look at it. In terms of prerequisites, you're going to need a OpenAI API key, and you're going to need a Google Drive or some other location to save your data. I won't go over setting up the credentials in this video, that'll be kind of covered elsewhere. So what we can do, if we just go to test workflow, is we drive this with a form which allows us to specify exactly what we want to create the newsletter on. So we have a newsletter topic. This is going to guide the AI in terms of telling it what is the general content that it's looking at. cs.ai, this is an archive category. There's various other ones listed on their website. So Singularity is a popular sort of AI subreddit. On this one you can give it any particular subreddit, or even probably a multi-Reddit if you combine the queries. Same with Hacker News, we're going to go agents, and then on Product Hunt, this is our AI software category. So these will give it the building blocks of where it needs to get data from in order to create the newsletter. And these are configurable, so it allows you to go and still use this format, but in a different domain as you might need. So if we press submit now, so we can see the data is pulling in, and I'll briefly explain whilst it's all running what it's doing. It's quite a big flow. So first of all, we're taking in our form over here, then we're splitting out the key variables in that. We're then substituting them into the RSS feed URLs, pretty basic stuff. We then get the results back and we apply a schema transformation, which is effectively allowing us to unify the results of all of these 4 different calls, because some of them are slightly different. They're still pretty similar, but they're slightly different. And if we have the same names for all the columns and all the attributes, that allows us a much easier time later on when we're merging the data together. So it's really important to design yourself a unified schema when you're thinking about building any system in n8n, as it makes it really easy to work with later on. So that's what we're doing here. The next step is using OpenAI and using a 4.0 mini model to determine which articles and which data we've pulled back is relevant given the input topic that we've decided. Now obviously you can pull back with quite a basic query a large number of items, but it's hard to determine, would they all be relevant? We don't really know, hard to see. So we get this agent to filter those out, and we literally tell it for each input that we send. So here we're sending in 25 items, just return a 1 or a 0. 1 if you think it's relevant to our subject matter, or 0 if you think it's not. We then use this filter node for each of these to retain only the relevant topics. We then reapply the schema that we have, again just to make sure it's consistent. And then finally we do a limit step. Now this is just to make sure, I've put here a limit of 15 because obviously there's a kind of quota cost and all these kind of things to everything. But to put some guardrails around our use of AI and use of systems to kind of keep the cost down and more manageable in one thing or another. So here I've set the limit to 15 items. It could obviously be whatever you want. And our input step here, as you can see, we had 50, 50, 20, 25, and we used the 4.0 mini model because we're sending quite a lot of requests, so obviously we want to keep the cost down, and the task is quite simple, so it's more than capable of doing that. We also in here put a limiting step where we set with the content, we set the number of characters that it's sending. So again, to try and control the cost. Then we sort of merge everything together and we aggregate them into effectively a single string separated with a custom delimiter, because that means rather than a set of individual items in a list, we can actually output it in one shot to our newsletter editor. This will take all that content and synthesize a text-based newsletter, but with no styling yet. Its only focus is on producing interesting and engaging content, again to the specification and the topic the user provided in the input form. After that, we take the output, which is just this raw text, and we apply our HTML agent where we go through and we style the newsletter. And that's what creates these outputs, sort of the highlighted sections, the bold, and this kind of thing to give it a bit more visual interest. Finally, after that, we do a bit of sort of formatting, parsing, where we remove potentially erroneous characters and these things. I think that's maybe a little bit of a limitation of n8n, but anyway, just tidies it up. Then we convert that to a file, and finally we upload it to our Google Drive. And we can see here we've created a new file here, newsletter.html. Obviously you can call it anything you want. So moment of truth, let's download this and let's open that up. Okay, and we can see here this is the result of it. So it's got links here like this. It's got kind of subject matter and highlighting elements and other various ideas, links to papers and one thing or another. So as you can see, we've just built ourselves a entire newsletter generation tool. Obviously, you could refine this further with more content and the styling and the sources and these kind of things. There are other systems such as Tavily which you can use, which act as a sort of search engine, but that can be limited in the number of results it returns. But with this, you could keep extending it by adding more and more RSS feeds to really create quite a powerful tool. As I said, you can integrate something like Tavily or any other feed you'd like. And this then allows you to generate these AI newsletters. You could then even pass this through another step that might refine and kind of review the content one stage further and then send it out. So this is how it all works at a high level. I'll walk you through one of the individual flows now to look a little bit more at the actual nodes themselves and the settings that we have. So in set subreddit, so here first of all we're applying from the input form, we're picking out the part that we want, which is here singularity. And we go into our RSS feed and we're doing the injection into here. Actually, that's a slight mistake. We should be injecting subreddit. Let me correct that now. So here we go. So we'll see the output here. So we'll test that step. As we'll see, that's worked. Just save that again. Then here, crucially, we're going to apply our schema where we map any items that we need. We also add a source section and hard-code posts. This so our tool knows later on kind of exactly where it's come from. This is kind of a static mapping that we've applied. Then we ask our agent. We say this is where this is coming from. Not from Reddit, actually, not product hunt, just because we copied the node. And this will then go around for each of these items and return 1 if it's valid and 0 if it's not. We then apply a filtering step, so we only keep the outputs that are equal to 1. Then we reapply the schema as required, bring it back from the step before, but again just to make sure it's all there and it's all as expected. You could probably combine or limit that step. Finally, we limit it to keep the first 15 items. Then we merge everything together, our 4 inputs here, and this is why you want a newer version of n8n, because previous versions only allowed for 2 inputs to be merged at a time. I think this goes up to 8. We then take it and we aggregate the data together, edit the fields again, and this time what we're doing is pulling in an item map and converting it into a single string with this map function here, with the start and the end delimiters that we tell the AI about. And so we've done that here. Here you can see the prompt. This is where we say where the sources of data are from. We tell it the task we want to do. and then also the delimiters, and it then creates the newsletter basically. Then we pass it on to this AI agent, which tells it it's trying to create an HTML newsletter. We also pass in an example of our styling that we want to be applied to the different sections. And then finally, we do some format stripping, convert to a file, and save to the Google Drive. So with that, and with all these steps, let me run it again actually, right the way through. We test the workflow. There we go. AI agents, cs.ai, singularity. This allows us to create quite a powerful newsletter building tool. That you could put on a schedule, you could run for multiple topics, and as I said, you could add in different RSS feeds. So like I said, I'll upload the template. I hope you find that useful. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Thanks very much, guys.